All right, all right. All right, all right. Hello to our YouTube family. Look, we are excited to be back with you for another episode, y'all, of Talk Tuesday. Listen, we know that this month is a fairly difficult one, but at the end of the day, y'all, we couldn't be more happy to be here to provide information with you or to you about Child Abuse Prevention Month. So, again, I want to say welcome to Talk Tuesday, everybody. It's a series that is dedicated to empowering our youth and families. This series is being brought to you by Steps Foundation, Inc., where advocacy meets education for the betterment of young minds. I am Abigail Ellis, your host and founder of Steps Foundation, Inc. So, as I was saying, throughout this month, we're shining the spotlight on the importance of protecting our children and creating safe, nurturing environments for their growth and development, as this month is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Join us as we continue to engage in these conversations, share insights, and explore strategies to help prevent child abuse and promote the well-being of our youngest members of society. I am super excited to have with me on this journey my brother from another mother, all the way on the other side of the U.S. But before I even let him unmute his mic, I just got to share it, y'all, because my brother dropped something in the mail for me. Okay. Listen, boom, I got my book. Hold on. Eh, uh, no, there. It's gonna come through. Yes, because my brother wrote the book. I fit the description. Brother, when does it drop? Let him know when does it drop.
Thank you, sis. Thank you. The book will be available this month, April 27th, on Amazon. It's $20. I purposely made it affordable. I'm not trying to get rich, just trying to prove a point. That's all I'm trying to do. Man, mark your calendar, set your phone, the alarm when you wake up, April 27th. That's a Saturday. Y'all ain't got to go to work that day. Good. Just set the alarm, man, for like 6 a.m. Go order that thing. I know
Look,
y'all be, I know, hey, look, as
they got 2
many,
weeks.
yeah, two, that's nothing.
2 weeks.
As,
Save them dollars, y'all. Save them dollars.
as many Amazon trucks as I be seeing driving around town, boy, if y'all don't put one of those things on there and have them bring it to you, you know what I'm saying? And look, for $20, that's 2 coffees at Starbucks. Man, forego to coffee and check your boy out. And don't, if you don't buy it for yourself, buy it for somebody else. Thank you, sis, for that plug. I appreciate that.
And I must say, because I can't not say it. Okay, so y'all, as soon as I got the book, of course I had to read the book because I'm like, okay, what he wrote in here? Let's see what nuggets we dropping today. Because if y'all have been watching Talk Tuesday, y'all know anytime Smith come on, look, Samantha on tonight. Samantha always got to throw the collection plate. So listen, I'm like, look, Preacher Smith got a word. So let me see what's in this book. And listen, y'all, if you've been following us for the last year on Talk Tuesday, then like when he speaks from the heart. And when he's speaking, he's definitely speaking to our youth and these parents. And just by way of giving that sound advice and just acknowledging where he's come from, who he is, and how he got to where he is. And that's like so appreciative. And when I tell you guys, if you got young men, and we all know young men, okay? So you all know somebody with a young man. They need this book. Okay. We hear a lot of representation, especially by way of books and things for our girls. And I think it's often really hard for us to find those really good books that depict good images and good knowledge for our boys. And when I look at this, I'm like, this is what our young men need to see. It's what they need to hear. And without giving away too much, when he says I fit the description, like our boys need to see it and they need to hear it. And I thank you for the real images inside this book, because we know a lot of times people drop their books and like it's not real images. And I can tell you guys, look, this is me. This is me. Okay. So I thank you for opening up and sharing your world with us and with these young men, because it's what they need to see. So when we tell them that they fit the description, they're really looking at you and seeing how you fit that description so they can too. So thank you for doing that for them. And thank you for doing that with purpose and intent behind it. And you guys, when I tell you it's a short read, so it's not something that you got to feel like you got to look at it for 20 days and put it down and not get something from it. It really is a short read that's going to resonate. And that's really what it's about, is it resonating with these young men.
It's everything is purposeful. And I'm not going to do this, but everything is purposeful. It's short, to the point. Yes. It's not motivation. It's I'm hustling love. And this book, if I'm lying, you can read this book every day before you go to school. And you know what I'm saying? If you just need a reminder. So go check it out.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that to drop. So listen.
Right.
Smith, I'm just saying, I think we're going to have to do a live book reading.
So, I'm with it.
Again, I just feel like it needs to be heard.
And this is why I love you, because I never thought of that. And thank you for just having that creativity. That I never even thought of that.
Listen, we're gonna get you in these spaces, because I'm like, let's go, my brother. Because I'm like, again, I love what you put together, and it's about us helping these kids and helping to motivate them and see themselves in other people. Look, that true reflection, right? That representation and why it matters. This is it. So I thank you for creating that space for these kids and creating that image for them to see.
Thank you.
Listen, and look, Mama done dropped her comment.
I've seen her.
I told you Mama had a comment for you.
Hey, I really appreciate that. It's humbling.
I'm excited, so excited. And so listen, for those of you, if you have been watching us for a while, or even if you haven't, look, I can't help but introduce this other young man, because this is my boy. Listen, he my baby. Look, because he was a program student. Now he's a mentor, and look, this my boy. Come on, my Caesar.
Hey, how you doing,
man? Hey.
I'll try. Yeah, I'm a little bit sick, so my voice might be a little bit messed up, but I'm still here. Come on.
Exactly. He didn't let it hold him back.
Yeah. But yeah,
look, and still logged in early. Listen, because look, that's why Caesar always be early, y'all. Look, Caesar logged in early and he's sick. So look, we ain't got no excuses when we sick. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But I am a mentor. I'm an artist. I'm a good son, I guess. I don't like giving myself too much credit, but I try to be a good son. A good friend. Yeah, I'm just trying to do good and what I have, what my stuff is.
And listen, for those of you that are new, look, Caesar does art. And so I am so proud of him, because his artwork is just so amazing. He does so many different things with it. Can you tell them about your YouTube channel and your TikTok channel?
Yeah, I don't really post on my YouTube, but I have Instagram. I have TikTok in there. If you look at my TikTok, the first video in the account, a couple of first videos, just stories about my life and stories of what I want to do, probably. But to be honest with you, I haven't been on it that much. But if you got any time, you check it out. I'm sure I'll post something now and then. I guess it's Mars 300 Art. and that's it.
Mars 300 Art, y'all. So go follow that TikTok channel. And I can tell you, like, watching him draw is so amazing. Seeing him through the process and then seeing the final art piece is always like super, super amazing. And as he said, like, he shares a lot of his story on TikTok. You just started an Instagram channel, right?
Yes, I don't really post on it either, to be honest.
That's okay. I know the majority of your stuff is on TikTok,
Yeah,
but I know you was trying to like start implementing other platforms like
yeah,
YouTube and Instagram. So listen, it's all about look, we get them followers.
yeah. And I
And then
think, my bad,
yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that one of my friends from high school actually reached out and he told me if I had any meaning to it, to the drawings, and I was like, I was really thinking about it because when I draw, I do have meaning. Like I used to have like it would be like my demons or my past troubles
Mhm.
or what I'm feeling in the moment. I don't really. I gotta find another meaning because that's too dark. I don't know. But he said it was cool. I think because I just told him that it's what I feel in the moment and what I felt in the past. So whatever drawing I'm doing, I'm not really. I'm just letting it all out. To be honest.
See, I love that you said when you was drawing before, you know, you saw your demons, right? And so
Yeah.
that was your way of expressing it and letting it out. I will tell you, Caesar, as you grow, you evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And as you evolve, the images change.
Yeah.
And so I've seen the difference in what you used to draw versus what you do draw. And
Yeah.
it's not as dark as it was. So you've already started changing the narrative, but it's because of the space that you're in now. So don't feel like you have to force yourself to do something else. It comes to you naturally. And you're literally drawing the feeling. You're drawing
Yeah.
what you see, what the image is before you. And sometimes look, that comes with past things, right? And then sometimes it's gonna depict what your future is gonna look like. So just go with that feeling and go with the flow. But at the end of every art piece, you always are able to tell a story.
Yeah.
Because I hear it loud and clear.
Mm-hmm. I try, miss. I try.
Can I interject?
Come on, come on.
And again, you know, I listen to the words, and what you said is spot on. We evolve, Caesar, right? And not just to Caesar, but to anybody else. Like whatever those dreams you have, right? Those images that come to you as we evolve, they may be the same, but we're going to perceive them differently as long as you're willing to grow with them. You see what I'm saying? And it might be the exact same image, but you're perceiving it differently. You feel me? And that's the way, like, so we humans, we get into this space that, you know, we get so railed and focused on one thing that we forget to look at it in an open mindset, right? But then, you know, I put this thing out there today, you know, and this imposter syndrome stems from impression fallacy, right? Where we get these impressions that ain't even correct, and we allow that to dictate this imposter syndrome that ain't even legitimate. You feel me? So, Caesar, as you grow and as you evolve, and then this lived experiences that you go through are going to allow you to see that same image you saw at 16, but now you're going to be 26 and you're going to be like, oh, okay. You see what I'm saying? Because everything, you know, you know what I'm saying? So this is what I had to figure out, C's. Check me out, man. Dude, I struggled. 2019 was not a good year. And I had to sit there and figure out where the silver linings are in some ugliness. And if you allow your mind to be open enough to take you through the ugliness, there's going to be some silver linings in there. So those images you've seen at 16, you may see at 26 and 36, but as you evolve, like Sis said, the perception, you're going to see them totally, I'm not saying you're going to see them totally different. Your open-mindedness is going to allow you to receive the message that's coming through in a different way, if that makes sense.
Yes. Listen. Yeah. Smith already want us to drop the collection plate. Look, bro, we're just getting started. Look, we ain't even got into the topic and you ready to
Come
drop
on,
collection plate.
come on, man.
Listen.
We ain't gotta wait. Hey, the nuggets flow, man. Ain't no waiting. You know?
Listen. But I love everything that you just said, and it's so true. And Caesar, I really hope that you take something away from that because it's so true. Look, I know that a lot of people desire to see you draw what they want you to draw. And while that's fine, you know, hey, you paying me, I can draw whatever you like.
Yeah.
But in your day to day, when you are sitting down and you are being creative, that creativity stems from you and what you've been through and what you've gone, like that is your life story. And so it's gonna come how it comes, right? And that's why I'm telling you, like it's gonna evolve as you evolve. It's gonna look different as you continue to grow and change, as you continue to experience new things in life and see new things as you're on your journey. So it's all gonna end up looking different. But right now, if that's what you see, then that's what you see. And that's the story you're telling today.
Yeah. I mean, I think I used to see them as demons. Now I mostly see them as masks. But that's about it. Yeah.
And see, I even love that piece that you just said. You used to see them as demons, and now you see them as masks.
Yeah.
I could tear that apart in so many different ways. Listen, look, y'all, come on, look at
Smith. Hey, real talk. I'm telling you, man, the organic nature of this journey is beyond comprehension. I had a conversation last Friday with a gentleman in LA. They run the African American Wellness Agency, and they're having a seminar, which he invited me to be a part of this panel in LA. And it's called Removing the Mask. And it's talking about just us as men trying to remove this mask that we hide behind when we start talking about these emotional scenarios that we play and that we try to hide because we've never been taught to how to discuss them, right? So it's crazy. I'm telling y'all don't understand, man. This organic nature, this journey sees, like for you to even bring up the word mask and me have a conversation with this man, we talking about mask, it's a real thing. You know what I'm saying? And once you start to understand what those masks are, maybe you can start to remove some of those masks, and maybe those masks they might present a different image for you. You know what I'm saying?
That
man,
part.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
That part. And that's what it all boils down to. Once you're able to see the mask, you're able to change that mask into anything that you want to change it into. Why? Because it's movable.
Yeah.
But when you say it's a demon, right, you feel like it's stuck to you.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, there's so much that we can tackle in that. But I'm like, I know that ain't today's episode.
Yeah, my bad.
No. No reason for you to say my bad.
Not at all.
It's the conversation, right?
Somebody needed to hear that. Somebody needed to hear that.
You know? Not your bad at all. Look, these conversations go where they go.
That's it. I just said it's organic nature, man. I'm telling you. Just let it go.
Look, for real. Because it's like Smitty said, somebody needed to hear that. Somebody needed to, because somebody on here that's watching is identifying with you and what you said. And so, look, it's how we go.
And it might be a grown person.
That part right there. So I hope y'all ready, because now we finna dive in it. So before I even start with our first question, I want to acknowledge that again, we know that child abuse conversations can be very sensitive content. So we understand that these topics can be distressing for those of you that are listening, and it's okay for you to turn this video off if you need to, walk away if you need to. But most importantly, we just want you to know that it is okay to say that you need help if you need it and are looking for assistance. So we ready to dive in. All right, here we go. So first question that I have. So I know last week we kind of touched on like the different types of child abuse, the different phases and things like that. And we kind of jumped into that conversation. And right when we was getting ready to end, my Smitty came through. Yeah. I told you I was tapping back into that. Okay, Smitty came through, right? challenging the system. And so I love a good challenge. However, when we discuss these challenges, right, it's always we have to find solutions as well. And so one of the questions that I want to ask is, can we discuss how the importance of creating safe and supportive environments, right, for our students? Because yeah, look at Miss Smith. Because we know that our kids, and again, we know the kids go to school, like sometimes the school is seen as that safe haven. But outside of the school system, our kids go to parks, our kids are in recreational facilities, our kids are in after school programs, our kids end up in so many other various places. How can we continue to create safe and supportive environments for our students?
Man, I don't even know if we got time for this. This one might be a carryover. C's, give me a minute, and then I'm gonna let you get. So it is so many. It's so many different layers to that when we talk about this environment, because it's not just school. When we talk about the safety of our children and this child abuse, like I ended the last one about the state sponsored child abuse that's happening. This is kind of the same thing in a more macro version, because if we talk about child abuse in our society, now I'm not talking about the parental microscopic what's going on in the home. How do we create these more safe environments? All right, so we can easily start by saying, one, like we discussed just a couple of minutes ago, just talking about the generational trauma, not only of our young folks experience, but their parents and then their parents, right? So we have to be open-minded when we start talking about how do we keep our current children safe. Well, we need to address the children that are grown now, that never had the opportunity to discuss some of their trauma. Okay, that's one thing. And then as we start talking about, as we branch out to the community and making these places safer, right? I wrote something, a paper up a little while ago, just talking about our toxic environment. I think that's what I named it, our toxic environment. Because by happen chance or by plan, you can easily go through any city and find it segregated in multiple ways. And I just want to, you close your mind and think about a park in your city. And now think about a park in another city and kind of put them next to each other. So I'm thinking in my city, we got multiple parks and they're in different neighborhoods. One specific neighborhood that I won't mention is right smack dab in family housing. I shouldn't say that. Residential area. That's where it's located. It's a walking park. It's beautiful. It's well kept. There's nothing around it but homes. And most of those homes are owned by the person occupying it. So there's money going towards that park. It's a safe environment. Now, I think about the other part, and it's right smack dab in the middle of rental property with a large low income housing units. And there's multiple liquor stores, there's multiple smoke shops, there's multiple facilities that you probably wouldn't want children around. It's high traffic. It's high traffic going through there. But there's a couple of work yards in there where trucks are, easily accessible to these young people. So when we start talking about the environment and making it safe, there's so many different layers. Yes, we could talk about the family and what's happening in the house, but then what's happening outside as well. What are our children exposed to? I was reading this book this morning about what young people are exposed to and how they react to their own age group when they've seen something traumatic. And we're going to talk about a 7-year-old who doesn't even know it was traumatic on him or her, but then they take that information and then they regurgitate it into their little friendly clique. And then we start talking about this festering of an environment that's toxic before we even seen it coming. So that's the long version of what I'm trying to say, but it's so many levels to making our environment safer. And the answer to the question is we as parents in non-white populated homes and areas need to be more active in what's going on in our local city government. We need to be at city council meetings. We need to be at school board meetings. We need to be part of the planning commission, because the planning commission dictates who gets zoned what in their particular area if you don't know what's going on with that. That's why in some neighborhoods ain't one check cashing place, but in another neighborhood they got 3 check cashing places spread out. So understand, you want to fix it? You want a solution? We need to be more active in what's going on in our own city and stop allowing the ugliness of capitalism to reign this toxicity over our children.
Oh, I love that you bring that up, because one of the conversations that I've had with somebody else is, again, when we talk about that abusiveness, and people want to attribute abuse to a household. And while, yes, we know abuse and neglect, oftentimes it does happen in the household, but that's not the only place that it happens. So, you think about those kids on the football field and where they may have the abusive coach. And again, when we talk about the different types of abuse, it's not always that physical abuse. It's that verbal abuse and that emotional abuse and that psychological abuse. Like they get it on a football field. They get it in a basketball camp. Girls get it in track, or cheerleading. So like it becomes prominent in sports, but nobody's calling it out. They say it's tough love. Okay.
No, so because, I'm a coach and I've been in athletics all my life. I've been coaching for over 20 years. Listen to how stupid this sounds. And that's a strong word for me to use. But listen to how stupid this sounds. You know how many parents have come up to me as a coach and say, I need you to be tough on my child. And it's okay if you cuss at him because I do.
Yep.
What are we talking about?
Yep. And I believe you. I definitely believe you. But then when you turn around and you get the coach that does it, right? Then you get that parent that's in the background, and as any parent should, they ready to fight you because of what you said to their kid, right? Mm-hmm. And they ready to fight you because of how you treating their kid. So again, I'm like, when we talk about the levels of abuse and the places and spaces that our kids get abused, and y'all, it don't stop there, because then you go into your classrooms. And some of your teachers who have had it up to here with the school system, up to here with the amount of disrespect they get from kids, and now they're abusing all the kids in the classroom because
doing exactly what the stuff on their walls says not to do.
There you go. So I posed that question, right? Because I feel like sometimes some of these spaces get oversighted. Everybody wants to pinpoint abuse to it just being something that happens at home, but it happens anywhere these kids are. Anywhere that you got a kid, abuse is happening. I mean, and I'm not saying that the person your kid is with is abusing your kid, but I'm just saying in any space, in any given opportunity, it can happen. And it probably has happened in those spaces.
Check this out. And I mean to put this on Facebook. Because if we're going to talk about child abuse, and to, like you said, sis, because that's powerful. Like in all of these spaces that we are all in, we witness some kind of abuse all the time and don't say nothing. We're so conditioned. Here, check this out. And I've been meaning to put it because I seen this about 3 or 4 days ago. If you are doing Instacart or DoorDash with your child in the car, that's abuse. That's abuse. Now, hold on. I know some of y'all gonna get upset at me with that. That's child labor. That's child labor. And now again, I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, I ain't got no one to watch my kid. Or I don't, and I understand that. And I'm not knocking the hustle. But what I'm saying is, what happens if that child gets hurt while you're doing that? What happens if something goes awry at one of those houses and you get hurt, right? Because we're talking about the unknown of our environment. And we're putting our children in that harm's way. Let me say that. We're putting our children in the unknown harm's way when we put them in the back seat to go do deliveries. Now, that has bothered me since I seen it. It don't sit well with me. I understand both sides. I really do. You can't do that. That's not right. You can't take your child to work if you work in a factory. You can't take your child to work if you work as a teacher. Well, you could, but it's not. You can't do it like regularly. You know what I'm saying? Think we really to find solutions. We have to be out the box. We are in 2024. Here in 2024, and we cannot figure out proper daycare for our children. We can't get it subsidized properly.
I'm a challenge you real quick on that one though, Smith, because there's a whole difference. That's not child abuse. now look, just because you don't like something,
okay,
don't make it child abuse.
Okay,
they're not abusing their kid. Now I can say, look, I understand where you're coming from. That yes, there should be a fine line between what you're doing for work and when you're taking your child with you for safety reasons, but that's not child abuse.
10 o'clock at night and you driving doing DoorDash and you gotta get in the back seat. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just
no,
okay.
But like I said, I get exactly where you're coming from with it, but that does not define child abuse. And I want to put that out there because then you're gonna get people calling CPS talking about somebody abusing their kid, and that is not abuse. So look, we need to be careful how we define it because people listen and then they take those things and they want to take it to the next level. Now, if you want to say that that's neglectful, that may be a portion of neglect. However, you still gonna have a hard time challenging that because they didn't leave their kid by themselves.
I got you. I think I just had to get that old man get off my grass feeling off my chest.
But that's why I'm like, I get exactly where you're coming from, but we want to be careful with how we define it because then people assume that it's okay for them to call CPS for something that's really not valid, and it's taking away time from real cases where they could be investigating somebody who is in danger and being injured and needs that support. So I think in that sense, we just want to be careful how we label.
My bad.
No, not your bad. No, it ain't your bad at all.
I had to get that out, man. That's just been irking me, man. Since I seen it.
That is not your bad at all. And I know you listening, Caesar. I know you like, my voice hurt. I can't talk because I'm a little sick. I do want to give you a chance too. If there's anything you want to add, so like you can jump in. So don't feel like we got you.
Hi. Well, I'm gonna jump in, I guess. I don't want to say nothing about what Smitty said. I don't know, but
People said he ain't touching that, Smith. Look,
I'm gonna have all the DoorDash people mad at me now.
Look, they better send you all the messages.
Nah, but in a serious note, when I was growing up, right, from my experience, honestly, I felt more in danger, child abuse wise, as my schools and outside my house. Even though it was a lot of abuse in my house, there was a lot of worry and anxiety that came around being out the house because I know for example, I knew what my dad would do to me, right? I didn't know what anybody else would. So I think ever since and that's always been an issue with me. I have anxiety and stuff. I'm paranoid, and my friends tell me all the time, like, well, you just relax, but they don't get it. I mean, I'm sure they get it, but I'm trying to explain, like, since a young age, I've been trying to figure out, like, trying to be safe from what my dad has brought into the family, So, like, when I was a kid, back in Mexico and back in Texas, like, it was I can't go this way. That's his enemies right there. I can't go this way. That's someone he doesn't mess with anywhere over there. I'm like, at school, I can't talk to certain people because that's not all right. And most of the part, I did get in a couple fights. I did get in a couple of scrabbles. I did get in a lot of trouble because of my dad. Not blaming him because I might have done some stuff too, but but I do feel like I child abuse like was more for me at least outside the house because I was expecting help and the teachers weren't giving me the help I was looking for. So, like for example, I have this story, and I'm sure I told it before on this platform, but I'm gonna tell it again. That one of my teachers back then told me I was gonna end up just like my dad, and that broke my heart because that was my favorite teacher. And yeah, man, it's just tough. And you gotta realize that child abuse can go from like you said, like your words or physical and
Mhm.
stuff, and that would really hurt me. Like I was like, man, I was crying like all the way home. Where I used to walk home since I was a kid. So, but yeah, but that's all I gotta say.
See, and I think a lot of times some teachers forget that words are just as dangerous
Yeah,
as a sometimes more dangerous than hand. I mean, you damage a kid's self-esteem, and then what do you have left? And then you wonder why our students don't show respect, or you wonder why they talk to you crazy the way that they do. It's one of those things where I hate that it happens.
yeah,
And the sad part about it is nobody is changing it
yeah.
because it's such a huge demand for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough in the space. And so the bad ones continue to get a pass.
Yeah.
And it's very, very unfortunate. And even when I think about, like, I saw a news article the other day, and it was about a teacher that slapped a kid in the hallway like a year
Mm-hmm.
ago, got
Yeah.
caught on camera. I mean, chased the kid out the classroom, hemmed him up in the hallway, and literally took one hand and like slapped him right across the face. Um, yeah, he served time. And yeah, everybody's got all these excuses, but I'm like, when did it become okay for teachers to put their hands on kids? But then let's
Yeah.
go 20 years ago,
Yeah.
because 20 plus years ago, teachers were paddling kids in the classroom, so it's like they were given permission
Mm-hmm.
to physically beat children, not just the teachers, but the principals, the deans, the vice principals, whatever you want to call them. They were given permission to beat the kids. Then the system changed, but did it really? So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where we look at it and we know that changes have to happen, and there are still a lot of changes that need to happen, but we keep coming back to how.
Yeah.
Well, somebody, and I've heard this, and I don't know where I heard it from, but it's put your money where your mouth is. And you can tell a lot by what your goals are when the money is there. And so, and then I don't know if I shared this before. I think I might have maybe a year or two ago on this platform, but I'll share it again because we're talking about again the macro component to child abuse and neglect in our society, not necessarily in the family structure, but in our society overall. Um, I can't say that this data is scientific across the nation, but I know here in our little corner of the world, Solano County, well, I should say the state of California, in 2017, spent close to, I want to say like 100,000, maybe 120,000 a year for one incarcerated individual. And in that same year, they spent less than $14,000 for one student. So when we talk about protecting our children and keeping them safe, because safe doesn't necessarily mean physically, from the parent, but when we're talking about safe to be exposed and have the opportunity to grow in an environment that's conducive to you being a successful citizen, then do we even have that? Because there's no money in a student that goes to school all day. There's no money in a student that's striving to get straight A's. You know, and again, I'll speak only for California because that's what I know. They spent over $1 billion prison industry building prisons, doing the data to plan for like 2040. Enrollment in prison in 2040, $1 billion prison industries are doing the data right now. So when we start talking about a healthy environment imposed on our children, it is so much more. And I'm not demeaning what happens in their family in that structure. I'm not, because it's absolutely that's firsthand. But I'm talking about in society in general. Again, like I started, there's so many layers to the environment and making it safe for young people in general.
All I can say is just wow.
Crazy.
I mean, we know that's been an ongoing issue for years, and it just continues to grow and expand. We know the end goal is all our men.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
And you see, right? We don't have healthcare. Well, let me be careful how I say that. When we talk about the healthiness of a child, when we talk about the healthiness of a child, we don't have adequate healthcare in place to give to a child to say, hey, listen, this is what we can help you with if you're having these struggles. Now, they may be there. And let me say this. This is one of the reasons I started doing some of the work that I do. There are great programs around this nation that work not only nationwide, but statewide, countywide, citywide. There are great programs in place to help a lot of demographics that are in need. However, it's not readily available to them. The information doesn't make it to them. And so now we're stuck with these great resources and these great programs available to help these young folks, but they don't even know they exist. Now, I'm sure there could be reasons behind that, but when we start talking about doing the work and providing solutions, we have to make healthcare, the mental part and the physical part, accessible every day. Like right now, my little area right here, and I can say about 4 square miles. I have at least 10 facilities that sell alcohol. Now that's from a big grocery store down to a liquor store. But I only have one building dedicated to family health care. One building. And it's not a very big building. So again, when we start talking about how serious you are to addressing the solutions that our young people need, just take a look around your society and you'll see where you know where all the energy is going. You're doing a great job, sis, providing these opportunities, but like, are the powers that be addressing the solutions or addressing the concerns and providing solutions?
And see, and to that point, what you just said, right? So, I had to find a statistic because, I'm going to find that statistic, right? So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Children's Bureau reported that in 2020, community-based child abuse prevention programs served over 2.9 million children.
Now, you already know. You already know that year is what? That year is the pandemic.
So we know there is a ton of numbers missing, right?
A ton of numbers. There's a ton of young folks missing.
So even thinking about this, and when we talk about like the services that were provided, right, we're looking at parents and education, support groups, home visiting programs, crisis intervention, those that were focused on maltreatment and strengthening families and things like that. So, I mean, it's all encompassed, but still, when you think about how large of a number that is, and knowing how big of a gap there is, because we know that people were not reporting during the COVID year. And like we talked about this, last week. Like when we look at the statistics and where they are and how much data we know is not reported because of COVID. Again, just looking at the high number alone tells us that it is such a huge deal. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because, again, as we talk about making these changes and how we continue to bring awareness to this, right? Now, how can we get community members, neighbors, educators, local businesses all to play a role in preventing child abuse and promoting child safety? And I know it starts with this one thing, because I mean, when you see something, say something. Don't turn your head when you see that kid over there being abused and say, oh, it's not my business and it's not my place. And again, this not just goes to child abuse and prevention, because I know we talked about this too with domestic violence when it comes to teens and adults for domestic violence, that people choose not to get involved because they feel like it's not their business, or I'm going to mind my business. But you could just save a child's life today if you say
How many times have you seen on the news that some horrible tragedy happened in a house 3 doors down from you, and the person they interview says, "What a fat." That's because we've gotten to a point in our society where I remember when we moved out of Oakland and we moved up here to this little old cow town that I currently live in 1989, 1990. I remember a lot of people moving out the city, like, yeah, I want to move my kids to a place where they can play outside and run around and they ain't got to worry about gunshots. That's the thing. But then I get up here and I'm looking around, ain't near not a kid playing outside. Now again, I can sound like the old guy right here, but it sounds like a lot of folks moved and secluded their children inside their home. I'm sure video games has a part in that. Maybe some other activities go on, but yeah, that whole notion of, that's not my child or that's not my business, is really well. And then you add to that, like we've discussed on some previous shows, what happens in my house stays in my house. So you add a lot to that, and the numbers aren't shocking, and that's a shame. The numbers are shocking, and I want to say this because it's on my mind since you said it, and Caesar kind of briefly touched on it. And we start talking about some of the fixes and remedies to our society when it comes to young folks, and I really mean this. I don't care what your race is, and I don't care how much money you make, but the importance of a father in the household cannot be overstated. To a lot of some of our conditions that we see our kids experiencing. Maybe that kid doesn't have ADHD. Maybe that kid is acting out because he doesn't have his father in the house. Maybe that young lady isn't fast. Maybe she's acting out because her father is in the house. My oldest son came home from college as a freshman and said, "What do you think the biggest problem to our society is?" And I was like, "Absent father." I didn't get it. Doesn't matter the race. Doesn't matter how much money you make. But when we start talking about the security of our children, our fathers have an important part in that. And I bring this up because it's important, and this is not me. But my boy from Florida, the rapper, and I forget his name. Oh man, it's making me mad now. But he pointed out like how cold the game is. Like if you want federal assistance, the father can't live in the house. So we immediately remove the father, and then we allow these other aspects to neglect our children. That's the immediately form of neglect. So there's so many different layers to addressing the safety and the healthy nurturement. Can I say this, sis? You are an amazing woman to even have this platform to talk about child abuse and child neglect. But how wonderful would it be if we had a platform or a show where we could talk about the greatness of child nurturing, right? Because see, we're sitting here trying to find solutions to the negative. What if we had What if we had, you know, a nurturing environment so great that we can highlight that? We can't. We let me say it, y'all, and you already know this, sis. I work in the school district.
Yep.
Ain't no dads on the playground. It's a bunch of old people, mostly women. Ain't no dads nowhere. You can't get dads. And this, I made this point to some folks not too long ago. You want to fix some of these problems on the school ground when we start talking about bullying, because bullying could be some neglect, it could be some issues, a byproduct, right, of some neglect or some abuse. You want to address some of that? Why don't, and again, you talked about solutions and bringing in, because you said it right before this, you said bringing in the partnerships of the community, the business owners. How about we get business owners and corporations to give dads a half day off paid to go be at their child's school for a half a day and just be present on the playground and in the classroom. Now, you want to talk about fixing some of our systemic problems in our society when it comes to fatherhood and neglect and abuse? You don't even have to pay a father, and this is just a byproduct. You don't even have to pay a father or even bring up the notion that you're a bad dad when it comes to child abuse if you put that dad in an anonymous environment where he's around other dads watching them interact with their children. You want to talk about therapy? There's therapy right there, and ain't nobody paying for it. Come on, man. The solutions are there, but to your point, we got to work together, everybody, to get the solutions out there so they're readily available and accessible to these kids.
I agree 100% that the solutions are there.
They are.
But again, it's just what you said. Like, it's about people taking the steps and progressing it forward. And again, like, it's so much more than absent fathers, though. Because again, whether their fathers are there or not there doesn't negate the fact that abuse gonna happen outside of their household.
Factual.
So I'm like, factual. I get where that's going to, but I'm like, it still does not change the fact that even if a child is in a 2-parent household, when they go to school, they are outside of that house. When they go to play sports, they are outside of that house. When they show up in the daycare, they are outside of that house. And it is still an issue. And so, yes, we know that our kids with absent fathers are kids with absent mothers, because fathers are not the only ones that are absent from the household. So we have kids that are running around out here that have absent mothers. So absent parents as a whole is an issue. And I agree with you, Smith. Like, I do believe that some of those solutions are solutions that can happen by way of looking at the family dynamic. But when we step outside of that family dynamic, what does that look like getting more community people involved? And again, like, I know it's easy to say, speak up. It's easy to say when you see it, recognize it and address it. But when you're unsure, because again, we're a little bit different because we come from that education side of things. Like, we get to see what it is behind the scenes in a school. We get to see what it is because we work with these kids in the community. So I know that our perspective is going to be a little bit different because of what we see on a day-to-day basis. But when we look at like business owners and we're looking at other community activists or leaders, and even like the neighbor, how can we get them more involved with some of these things?
You know, you know what? How do we do that? I've been saying this for a couple of years now. Education through communication, right? We gotta be voiceful. We have to talk. We gotta stop treating things like you said, like sweeping them under the rug. You know, we can't keep with this mindset of what happens in my house stays in my house. You know, the answer is very small, but we have to talk better. We have to have better lines of communication. You know, that's the bottom line. We have to talk more, and that's difficult because me and you, this is the work we do. This is the path we decided to walk down, right?
Right.
And it's a lot of folks who don't want to know about the path. They don't want to deal with the path. That's not an easy subject to talk about on that path, right? And so we're always going to have that inherent challenge of people not want to talk about it because it goes back to if I don't talk about it, it means it doesn't exist. Out of sight, out of
So
mind.
true. So
You know,
true. So
and that's
true.
the real honest. That's
Yeah.
an honest answer to that.
That you are right. You are absolutely right. And I think that stems from a lot of other things too, because it that notion right there is prevalent in so many different scenarios and cases. Anything that brings about something negative, that becomes that response. If I don't talk about it, it don't exist. If I just ignore it, it'll go away.
Mhm.
But it's still there. And like, it's funny that you bring that up because I mean, I swear that be the end all be all answer, right? I'm just not gonna address it. It's gonna go
Yeah,
away.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But I love it because again, I appreciate having these conversations on this platform. And you bring up that real. Like this is the real. Like this is literally what is being said when people bring up these topics. I just don't want to talk about it. Like we're just not even going to discuss it because if I don't talk about it, it's just going to go away and you'll talk about this again next year.
Absolutely. But then isn't somebody else already doing that work?
Yes. Oh, that's another famous one. Like, why we got to do it? Because ain't that somebody else's job? But when I tell you, as the neighbor, it is our job. As the business owner, it is our job. As the teacher, it is our job. So it's like no matter where we sit or no matter where we are, it is our job. It's just so much that I know. Look, and I know we look because we got a good one for next week too. So listen. I know Smith. Look, Smith like, ooh. So before I even get into that final wrap-up phase, is there anything that you would like for people to know or anything that you want to share before we wrap?
Been talking all day. C's, go ahead, man.
He put you on the spot, Caesar.
I swear, bro. I swear. I don't even got time to think. Hey. So what's the question again? You just got me in the spot, like low key.
I know he really did throw you. He threw you out there like he didn't even throw you the life raft.
I know, right? But for real, what was the question?
So I'm like, before I close us out, is there anything that you would want people to know? Is there any advice you would like to give to people who are listening to help them become more comfortable with saying something or helping a student should there be an abuse or neglect situation happening?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna try. Even I'm not a parent. I'm not barely an adult, but I'm gonna try. So
he said, "I'm barely an adult." Listen, either you adulted, baby, you adulted.
I'm adulting. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I mean, I would say I don't really got any advice to give. I mean, I don't know if I would call it advice, but I would just like to say something to the parents. Like, I know I'm not a parent. I'm not telling you how you raise your kid, but I think that communication is such a big role in actually, like for example, my nephew. I'm not his parent, but I'm like a father figure to him, I guess. And every day he comes back to school, I ask him how, like Smitty said, how's your day? How was school and stuff. He always says and what I love about him is he gives me a whole story. Like he's so young, he gives me a whole story. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And I try and like motivate him to actually talk more. And I think that's more important. Like I didn't have that support when I was a kid. And I feel like that could really help if anybody like just communication and just talking to young people because young people go through a lot, and I think I went through a lot even when I was elementary, and it just got worse when once I elevated to high school. But I think one of the things that really saved me was just being more open to people, you know. So I'm pretty sure when I first met you, Miss Abigail, I didn't. I was in that mindset that I'm gonna let people into my life and stuff, but I wasn't yet there, and I realized uh, you have been a big part of my life, and I appreciate you for that. And yeah, man, I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to do you right, you know. I'm not trying to mess anything up. And I remember one time we had a conversation, you and me, when I told you I felt like I was a disappointment
And what
because
did I tell
I
you?
think, and you told me, no, you're not a disappointment. Everybody goes through it. It's life, man. Life, that's life, and life happens. And that's one of the things that I told all my friends. Life happens, and that's what I learned from you too. And I appreciate you, Miss. And that's all I gotta say. To be honest with you.
Look, I love you to the moon and back, my Caesar, to the moon and back. And I think that's important because I think what you said makes so much sense. Life for our kids is hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy at all. And you guys look for so many ways to please the adults around you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I told you when you was like, oh, I just don't want to disappoint you. I'm like, you ain't never going to disappoint me because it's not about me. It's about you. And so if you're not disappointed, I'm not disappointed. Listen, because and it's true. Life is going to happen.
Yeah.
Life happens to all of us. It's what you choose to do with it.
Yeah.
And so you have made the conscious effort to continue to make a difference in your life and the lives of those around you. And so
Sure.
that's why I said, baby, you're not going to disappoint me. I'm so proud of you. Look, you're gonna go through, and that's what life does. It throws curveballs at us, but we got to learn to shift and shake and navigate. And so you have learned to shift, shake, and navigate. And
Yep.
and that I can only say I'm proud of because you could have stopped.
Yeah.
You could have let all the bad things consume you.
But instead, I came in here every day, every talk Tuesday,
Early.
early.
Because Caesar be a whole 30 minutes early. I get the notification and email like, Caesar joined the call. I'm like, Caesar, it is not time yet.
I know. I feel like every time I'm early, if I'm not early, I'm late. I think that's my.
But I love that because you know what you do, Caesar?
Yeah.
You don't just carry that into group, you carry that into work. And it's a great work ethic to have. And people will always notice it. And that's why I always rewarded you because of it. Because I'm like, you could have been doing 20,000 other things.
Yeah.
You could have sat there and said you forgot.
Yeah.
But no, you was there early every time. Anything that I asked you to do, you did, and you did it happily. You never complained. Things that you didn't understand, you asked questions on. And so that's all I could ever ask for. And that's what I'm like, you're not gonna disappoint me because at the end of the day, these things are for you and it's about you. And so you made the changes, you made the efforts, you did the work.
Yeah.
I was just here to cheer for you.
Yeah. For sure.
That's it.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, for sure.
So I
I'm
thank you
trying.
for giving parents that advice because it is true. Communication needs to happen. And without communication, this is how so many things get missed and swept under the rug.
Yeah.
Abuse can be caught if we are listening.
Yeah.
And so that communication is key. So I appreciate you for giving that advice because parent or no parent, you went through.
Yeah.
And this is you coming from a place of experience, and what could have helped you was somebody listening to you and acknowledging when you're telling them the story that this is happening right now in my house. So I'm asking you to protect me, and you are not protecting me. And instead, you're blaming me for what's happening. And then you're going to tell me that I'm going to be like the person that I'm telling you about. So, I mean, so that alone is huge because it is a big takeaway and a takeaway that I wish a lot of adults would hear.
Yeah.
Truly hear it, because it's coming from somebody that's been through it.
Yeah.
So I thank you and appreciate you for giving that advice.
Yeah, for sure. I'm trying to help. Come on.
My boy. My boy.
I think what I want to say is, young folks, but I'm on this journey. I think I've titled myself, pointed myself the hustler of love. I might change to the ambassador of love. I don't know.
He the love hustler.
Yeah, the love hustler. Because that's where we talk about the remedies and the solutions to a lot of our society's ills. Um, if it ain't from love, it ain't never going to fix the problem. If you're doing it because you want money, or you want fame, or some other nefarious reason, it's never going to fix the problem. And so if we can continue to work on an environment that builds a more love foundation, solution based, I think we'd be in a better off situation. I'm not saying there's people out there that are not loving. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying if it was a little bit more intense and deliberate and purposeful, it might be a little bit more effective. The one thing I found out about young folks is they can see a lie a mile away. They know when you authentic. They know when you authentic. They know when you there, then you ain't really there. So let's be a little bit more vocal, like Caesar said. You never know that one person you can change, young person. They just want to hear you, man. You don't know the last time that little dude heard you say, I love you to him. He probably ain't never heard that. She ain't never heard that, or she heard it in a different way, So, say that to some man. I said it to a little dude to say, I ain't never seen this little kid, but he came through through the office, had his braids clean, and he was just walking by, and I caught him. I said, hey, man, I like your braids. And he put this big smile on his face. And he was like, and he went like this, oh, mine? I was like, yeah, I like those. He was like, oh, thank you. And he got this big show. Man, you never know. You never know how that little right there is just going to impact his day. I don't know what he's going home to.
Indeed.
So with that, I'm going to just close with this. Young people, if you feel like you're in an abusive situation, someone's hitting you, they're mistreating you, they're making you feel bad, you are enough. You are enough, just like you are. Battle, bruised, scarred, whatever. You are enough, and it's not your fault. You ain't got nothing to do with it. There's people around you that love you that you've never even seen. And I just want to let you know you're enough. You are enough, just like you are. And it may not mean nothing right now. I understand, because I'm not in those shoes. But if the words have any kind of impact on you right now, just know that you are enough, and it's not your fault. That's what I got.
Come on now, Smith. And look, if y'all recognize the background has changed. Look, Samantha did look, she said we're not even gonna slow crawl up there. Look, she was like, forget the collection plate. Look, it's a full plate. Just put the full plate. Well, sis, I got you. I saw it. She dropped it in the comments. I got you.
And I want to say one more thing before.
Yes, come on, Caesar.
I extremely agree with Mr. Smith. I try my best to show love to all my friends and everybody around me. But recently I sent this text to one of the kids I'm mentoring, that I'm trying to mentor, and I said, I'm proud of you, man. Just keep it up, man. You're doing a great job. I know you don't get to hear that very often, but you're doing great. And he called me, crying to me. He's saying, like, thank you, man. I appreciate you. And I'm like, that just it will warm to my heart, man. Like it just, and I don't know how how to say. I was lost in words at the moment, to be honest with you. But it is true. We are in such a society that doesn't like it. It's growing. I think the love, but it's not being shown that often. And I think that appreciation and love and just telling someone you're proud of him, like especially y'all man don't get they don't get. I remember when I was struggling, my therapist told me, I'm proud of you for all the progress you did, and it's warmed my heart. Like it's just like you don't get to hear it so often. That when someone actually means it, it's just an amazing feeling. So you speak up, tell someone you love them, tell them you're proud of them, and to keep it up, man.
Listen, that alone makes me smile because one, Caesar, I want you to own it. Let's start with that. You are not trying to be a mentor, you are a mentor.
Yeah.
So you're gonna own that, okay?
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna start with, own, because you're doing
Yeah.
it.
I'm a mentor for sure. Yeah.
There you go. Look, because you lead with that when you be like, I'm like, Caesar, tell us about you. Like, I'm a mentor, I'm a son, I'm an artist. Look, so you are not trying to mentor, you are a mentor. You're mentoring. Yeah. And so you're walking in that purpose. I'm so proud of you because that is a very heartfelt moment. See, now you get to see how I felt all them times when I was telling y'all stuff. Then y'all be like, for real?
Yeah.
Me? And I'm like, yeah, you. Now you get to feel that on the other side and see exactly what that means and why it means so much, right? We know when y'all don't hear it often.
Yeah.
And we see how it changes you. Because sometimes it's like Smitty said, you just got to start pouring it in. Just start sharing it. And then you start to see, you guys start to believe it.
Mm-hmm.
You hear negative things every day.
Yep.
Every day, all day. I know you do. So to hear some positive come into your life, it means so much more. And a lot of times you guys don't get it, whether in school, out of school, at home, whatever the case may be, you don't receive it the way that you want to. And so that's why it only takes a second to tell somebody something nice. It only takes a second to let somebody know you're proud of them and why. Because it's easy to say I'm proud of you. But now let me explain to you why I'm proud of you so that you can understand why I'm so proud so that you can be proud of what you've done.
Yeah.
So that's why when I would tell you guys that, I'm like, now let me tell you why. Because a lot of y'all, I'll say I'm proud and y'all look at me like this.
Yeah.
But that's why I always make sure to go that extra step and explain to you why I'm so proud of you. Because I need you guys to understand what I see so that you can now see it in yourself. Because a lot of you, it's hard for you to pull out what you see positive in you.
Yeah.
Because all you know are the negatives.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you are experiencing that moment because it makes a difference. It feels different. Yeah. Now you get to see it in a different light. So I'm so proud of you. And Smith, I'm so grateful for you too. Like y'all are just, listen, these are my phenomenal men, y'all. These are my phenomenal men that like show up on Talk Tuesday. Listen, I couldn't be more grateful. So now I'm gonna do our last little blurb, y'all, and then we finna bounce out of here. So before we wrap up today's segment, I want to remind our listeners that if you or someone you know is in need of support regarding child abuse or neglect, help is always available. So you can contact the National Abuse Hotline at 1-800-422-4453 for confidential assistance and guidance. Remember that you are never alone and that your safety and well-being is always important to us. So there are people on that hotline 24/7 ready and available to help you. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Talk Tuesday. And we look forward to seeing y'all again next week as we tap into another piece. And so y'all know how we do. Y'all know. So good night, YouTube, and we'll see y'all next week.